Where is the covered California subsidy on your federal income tax return? Hello, I'm Kevin Knaus with InsureMeKevin.com, and I've received numerous questions over the years from clients that don't know if they actually really received any additional tax credit on their federal income taxes, or if they had to repay some. It all gets a little bit confusing because there is not a specific reference on your 1040 form to the covered California subsidy. It's kind of buried in these other schedules. So what I thought I would do is go through the flow of either an additional refund premium tax credit for your health insurance from the IRS, or if you had to repay it and what that looks like. And all of this starts with Form 8962, which you may or may not see depending on who does your taxes. And so let's look at a refund scenario. This household went into covered California and they estimated their income. When they did their final income and put that on Form 8962, it was lower than the covered California estimate, which means they were eligible for a little bit more premium tax credit health insurance subsidy to lower their health insurance during the year. So in this particular example, they were eligible for $11,500. However, they only received $11,000 during the year, and that is all tallied up on that 1095A form. So on Form 8962, line 26, they are eligible for an additional $500 in a refundable tax credit. And then it mentions there on line 26 that that number goes to Schedule 3, line 9. So we go to Schedule 3, and that is a schedule that accumulates all the other payments and refundable credits. And line 9 right there at the top, net premium tax credit, attach Form 8962, and there we see the $500. Trying to keep everything simple, so I'm not adding in a bunch of other tax credits. So the total amount for this particular household on Schedule 3 was $500 on line 15. And the instructions say that now goes to Form 1040, line 31. So we go to line 31 of 1040, and there is the $500. Now, many of the people I work with are self-employed, and sometimes they make quarterly estimated tax payments like me, and sometimes they don't. But sometimes we have to pay some of that self-employment tax. And I've included that just to kind of show how things can get a little bit cloudy with these covered California subsidies. So for this particular family, they owe $1,000 in self-employment tax. Of course, they're getting a credit of $500, but that only covers half of the self-employment tax, so they owe $500 overall. So the family did get an additional $500, and it reduced their outstanding tax liability, which is nice, but sometimes people go, I don't think I got anything. But if you are due a refund, you can go to line 31 of the 1040 and see if anything is populated. Here it's $500, and then you can go back to that Schedule 3 and see if anything was on line 9. Okay, now let's look at a scenario where the household has to repay some of the subsidy they received. This particular household went in with an income level at covered California that turned out to be low. It was a low estimate. Their final income was higher than they thought. It wasn't dishonest or anything. It's just, that's just the way it happened. So when we go through Form 8962, this household was eligible for a premium tax credit of $10,000. But because their income estimate was lower than the final number on their taxes, they received $15,000 in tax credit. So the difference between what they were eligible for and what they received is $5,000. Now, Fortunately for this family, the income is under 400% of the federal poverty level, which triggers a repayment limitation. If the income had been over 400% of the federal poverty level, they would have to repay all $5,000. But because their income was just 398% of the federal poverty level, they are subject to a repayment limitation of $3,000. That's all they have to repay. And so that gets put on line 29 of Form 8962, and the instructions tell them that that $3,000 goes to Schedule 2, line 2. So we go to Schedule 2, and we can see line 2, excess advance premium tax credit repayment, attached Form 8962. And there's that $3,000. And then it also tells them where to put that on Form 1040. But I also wanted to, again, cloud the situation a little bit in that this was also a self-employed family that has to make some additional self-employment tax, and that was $2,000. So now we go from Schedule 2 and we go to the 1040 on additional taxes. So line 17 is that $3,000 repayment of the excess premium tax credit. And then on line 23 is the additional self-employment tax. Taken together, it's $5,000. So some people erroneously consider that the $5,000 was totally the repayment of the excess subsidy, but it's not. That's why we have to kind of really look at those lines and what is feeding onto those lines. So it can be a little bit confusing because there is no specific reference to a covered California subsidy on the 1040, and it can be difficult to find out how much you received as an additional refund or how much you had to repay. So this chart just kind of breaks down the flow. If you are eligible for a refund on line 26 of Form 8962, that goes to Schedule 3, line 9, and from there, line 31 of the 1040, lowering your tax liability. If you must repay any excess subsidy received during the year, on line 29 of the Form 8962, that goes to Schedule 2, line 2, and then from there to your 1040, line 17. So that's how it all kind of flows, and it's clear as mud, I'm sure, for everyone that's watching this. But if you have any questions or comments, you may leave them down below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Otherwise, for Insure Me Kevin, I'm Kevin Knaus.